First, it's incredibly controversial, and we had an incredibly robust response to our survey. It was interesting to hear that 2/3 didn't want it, and frankly, that was a lot better than we expected.
Pickup truck buyers tend to be, relatively conservative, relatively traditional. They go with their existing brands that they had, their dad had, their granddad had. Now this thing comes along. Are buyers going to line up for it?
Actually, what we're doing is we're kind of making the obvious moves. They seem very obvious to me, like as opposed to like some, eureka. It's not like, is it actually a breakthrough? Well, we're just trying to bring car electronics to, the year 2023.
All that and more. So let's get to it. Tesla stock is up in the pre-market almost 1%. If you recall from yesterday's video, I did indeed place a put, a little over 100% gain. Quite the bit of a gamble as the stock immediately rose from around 237 back to the 240s. With those gains from yesterday, I plan to purchase a couple more shares of Tesla, put some away for tax purposes, and get ready for my next trade. What's that? People can't get enough of the Cybertruck info? Okay, yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and cover that too. You guys still want some Cybertruck news? All right, I got you.
We had a guest on certainly right after the launch of that Cybertruck saying this is essentially a halo truck. It's not expected to generate a lot of revenue. It's the good shining object that Tesla wants to get new consumers in through the door to buy their other cars. How should we be looking at this?
First, it's incredibly controversial, and we had an incredibly robust response to our survey. It was interesting to hear that 2/3 didn't want it, and frankly, that was a lot better than we expected. I mean, across my family, it's polarizing. I personally love it. My wife doesn't like it at all. My two daughters are split. Leanne, who works on our team, doesn't like it. Pino likes it. And it kind of makes people feel all sorts of different things, just kind of like the CEO of the company. We did a survey, like I said, that revealed that this split was there, but we also spent a lot of time looking at the reviews and trying to understand the underlying technology of the vehicle. And it's incredible. I mean, this is the first company in the world to move to a 48-volt architecture, which enables something called rear-wheel steering, done by drive-by-wire or steer-by-wire, which means that there's no hand-over-hand steering anymore. You can basically do 170-degree turns with your steering wheel and completely maneuver the vehicle. It's remarkable what the company's been able to do underneath the surface, despite the controversial steel exoskeleton. So we think it'll sell up to 250,000 over the next couple of years, maybe over time 500,000. And it'll move the P&L, but what's more interesting is the way the company continues to move technology forward.
There's a lot to cover there. Obviously, the aesthetics visually might rub you a certain type of way, just like anything that is mildly aggressive. That's what the skin is on the Cybertruck. The shock value alone when seeing this thing come down the highway, gonna make you look up from your phones, people. And 67% not buying it, I'm totally okay with that. Do you know what the percentages were back in 2014 when the Model S was out of people that said that they weren't going to buy an electric vehicle? Oh, how times have changed. And despite what you think about what the Cybertruck looks like, it's what's underneath that will make you change your mind.
Do you think that one of the main reasons why potentially there was some negativity towards it in terms of your survey was because of pricing? Pricing was a bit more expected than what people had seen, at least originally. And then secondly, touching on the under the skin features, do you think that'll actually help sentiment if people learn more about that 48-volt system, that rear wheel steering system, things like that under that kind of controversial skin?
So I think the 2/3 that didn't like it yet, our survey was very simple. Would you buy Cybertruck? But if you ask me, based on the discussions that I've had individually, which have been probably in the hundreds, it's really the look of the vehicle that either gets people excited or revolts people. It's really controversial and it's different. And the future should look like the future, according to Elon Musk. It excites me. It revolts my wife, for example. So I think it has everything to do with the way the vehicle looks.
I think the Cybertruck looks awesome from Jump Street, but that's not why I'm going to purchase the vehicle. It's because it's going to be the best vehicle you could possibly purchase, pound for pound, dollar for dollar. And though I'll probably never use half of the new features that are inside the Cybertruck, I still want that motherfucker. And even if no one ever buys the Cybertruck, what do you think it does for the product lineup in the future? Everything that they've learned from building the Cybertruck, introducing these new technologies, the possibility of it bleeding into the other models is extremely high. It just improves their overall lineup as a whole.
No rear view mirror. There's an enormous front windshield wiper. There's an enormous windshield. This is all different. You know, I've seen the vehicle in person. I haven't driven it, but based on the reviews that I've seen, people sort of like it, you know, and also it's incredibly fast, right? It beats a Porsche 911 off the line while carrying a Porsche 911. So I think the technology is going to get people excited. It's different, the same way the iPhone was different when it first came out, but it's got incredible stuff underneath the hood, so to speak.
So does the Cybertruck live up to the hype? Let's ask Jason Camisa, automotive journalist at Haggerty. Jason, thank you for being here. You look like you had fun there. That looked like a fun drive.
There are some days at work that are much quicker and more fun than others, and that was definitely one of the fun ones.
All right, so give me the thumbnail here. I mean, so much expectation and anticipation about this product because we've just really never seen any as big a gamble as this in the automotive space, you know, maybe ever, and certainly not in the trucking space. What do you think?
I mean, the long and short of it is that the Cybertruck made its debut on a stage and captivated the entire world because of how it looked. And Tesla could have just made a truck that looked like that. But what they did was reinvent basically how the automobile is constructed, how it's networked, how it's steered, and all these, they made all of these changes they didn't have to make that really advanced the art of the automobile. And that was the shock to me because we'd have all, of course, seen it and we decided whether we liked it or not based on what it looked like. And the great irony here is even with a skin like that, it's actually what's underneath that's the most impressive.
I mean, it better work because Elon Musk has got a lot invested in this. I mean, the bottom line question with this product is, you know, it's weird looking, right? It's an unusual looking vehicle. And the question is, you know, you talk about all the innovation that's built into it, but is there a market for that? I mean, pickup truck buyers tend to be, you know, relatively conservative, relatively traditional. They go with their existing brands that they had, their dad had, their granddad had. Now this thing comes along. Are buyers going to line up for it in the traditional pickup truck market, or is Tesla in a position now where it has to go for an entirely new market that really doesn't exist yet?
This is the crazy thing. This is why it captivated all of us, because we didn't think, I certainly didn't think, and I don't think anyone else in the industry thought 1 million people would plunk down a deposit on that after it debuted 4 years ago.
That ended up being around 2 million plus.
So this is the space worth watching because what Tesla has pulled off is a technical innovation, technical innovation after technical innovation. They've done a fantastic job at engineering a truck. What remains to be seen is whether that new vision of what a pickup truck looks like and acts like and behaves like that Tesla had and Elon had is shared by the world. And we don't know. No one knows.
I saw a video.
I know. I think you might know too. Well, we've heard from media, we've heard from analysts, we've actually heard from people that's actually been inside the vehicle, racing it against Rivians, hitting it with sledgehammers. Let's hear from the man himself.
Hey, boys and girls, I have Mr. Musk with us today. Anyway, first off, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate your analysis over the years. It's, I think, accurate and thoughtful.
We haven't really released a heck of a lot, but we've got, I've already gotten a little note from Jim Farley saying, when are you going to release the information?
Keep your friends close and your competitors closer? Yeah.
What was the high point as far as you're concerned, apart from the fact that, you know, you released it? Which thing really?
Yeah, I mean, this is our biggest product release in quite a while. I mean, the Cybertruck is our, you know, probably our most revolutionary product. To actually reach production and to deliver the first production articles to people, you know, which means it's passed all of the regulatory tests and is reliable and something that can be out there on the roads. was extremely difficult. I've often said that prototypes are easy, production is hard. With a small team, you can make a prototype of almost anything with in maybe six months with 100 people. Create a production system, you need 10,000 people, and 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah.
Much,
well, actually,
much
2 or 3 years. Most people can't even do that. 48 volts. I mean,
it's been a long time that it's been at 12 volts. Far too long.
Yeah, 60 years.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you. How difficult was it to move from 12 to 48? Because I know when the S came out, I wasn't, or the Plaid came out, I wasn't happy. I thought you were going to do it on that. I was looking for that big giant weight reduction and cutting all the wire and whatnot. But this one, you've got it in. So how difficult was it to get that to happen?
Well, it's very difficult to change the bus voltage from 12 to 48 because all of the peripheral items, everything that connects to it has to interface at 48 volts, or you've got to step down to 12 volts.
Yeah.
The electronics in the car, the window, the window motor, airbags, the seat adjustment mode, everything is set. The headlamps, everything's set to 12 volts. So the entire supply chain. The entire design infrastructure is set for 12 volts. This is why it's been stuck at this absurdly low number for a long time.
If it was easy, everyone would do it. And Tesla doesn't do anything that has no reason, no wasted movement. A 48-volt architecture allows this vehicle to do so much more. It's an innovation that is long overdue. And now the supply chain is going to have to make do because Tesla, once they've gone to 48 volts, you can bet your bottom dollar that their future product lineup will as well. I think they said they've got a vehicle that's going to end up selling more than the Model Y. The best-selling vehicle in 2023.
As you increase the voltage, you can decrease the current so that voltage times amperage equals your power, so to hold power constant. You want to raise the voltage in order to lower the current, thus lower the heating in the wire. And the net effect being that you can have much thinner wires. You can use much less copper. And the wire harness weighs much less as you raise the voltage.
But you did even more because you went to the new bus system, somewhere between in percentage of weight and what, sometimes something around 70% of the communication wire disappeared. 48 volt, who cares? It's gone. And you got it to work. And I maybe you could explain. Who came up with it? When did you decide that you were going to go in that direction? Was it part of the 48 volt discussion, or how did that work?
Well, there's actually a couple of things happening. So besides 48 volts, it's also moving to Ethernet over CAN bus.
Yep.
So Ethernet just allows for a much higher data rate than the CAN bus, which is the sort of typical data bus on a car. One of the effects of being able to having a very high bandwidth bus is that you don't have to have as many point-to-point wires because you're not constrained by the data rate. So if your data rate per wire is low, as it is typically with CAN bus, you have to have many point-to-point wires. Whereas if you have a very high data rate like Ethernet, then you can simply attach to the bus and not worry about any kind of latency or packet loss or data loss essentially. So it's both going to 4 times higher voltage, thus having thinner wires, and needing fewer wires because we have a much higher data rate bus. Now, I think frankly these things are pretty obvious. They're like it's simply bringing cars to the 21st century because we've had Ethernet for a long time.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's really prevented the car industry from moving to a higher bus voltage and a higher data rate system than CAN bus, which is a very old protocol. Actually, what we're doing is we're kind of making the obvious moves. They seem very obvious to me, like as opposed to like some eureka. It's not like, is it actually a breakthrough? Well, we're just trying to bring car electronics to the year 2023.
Oh, that's so damning for all of the legacy automotive manufacturers. You don't want to change the way you've been doing business because it's going to be more expensive. Or you don't even know if the consumer is going to recognize that. It's not worth it. It's too hard for us to do considering we're doing things the way we've been doing. Don't rock the boat, my guy. So what if it's going to be better for the consumer? They're going to have to buy this anyway because there's no other option. Well, sorry to say, there's another option now.
And you've got basically steer-by-wire.
Yeah, steer-by-wire is awesome. I didn't really spend much time on it in the Cybertruck presentation because it was hard to explain why it's going to be great. But you have to, if you drive the car, it's immediately obvious. Yeah, steer-by-wire means that the steering yoke is not mechanically connected to the wheels. Yeah. So now this is the way that all modern jet airliners are made. The steering yoke or stick on a modern airliner is simply a command to the computer. So for the Cybertruck, the steering yoke is a command to the computer. So that means we can adjust the gain. By variable gain, it's kind of like turning out if you've got an amplifier or something, you turn the amplifier to a low setting or a high setting. And so you can increase the amplification of the motion of your steering yoke according to what speed you're driving. So that if you're in a parking lot, or if you're low speed driving, then a small movement of the steering yoke results in a big movement in the wheels, so that you can do a U-turn with minimal movement of the steering yoke. But then if you're on a highway and you're moving very fast, you want the wheels to only move a small amount when you move the yoke. Basically moves the wheels the right amount based on the speed that you're going and what your intentions are.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been behind the wheel of a submarine and we don't have that technology. Would have made my job a heck of a lot easier. I don't give a shit about what this thing looks like. This thing is going to make driving incredibly easier.
The very first thing I noticed was I got to get out of this parking spot, and with rear wheel steering, along with front wheel steering as well, it's like it turned on a dime. Yes. This is not like trying to turn the Queen Mary around. No. This is a really, really, in a parking lot, yes, this is going to kick everyone's tail.
Yes, I mean, it turns like a small car, even though it's a big car.
I haven't been the biggest fan of the Model 3 and the Model Y's backseat. This one here is a monster. I mean, this is really, I'm really, really delighted with that. When I got in there, I brought it around, showed it to everybody. They absolutely loved that back seat.
Yeah, so it's very roomy inside. I mean, you can 5 large adults can easily sit in the car.
Easily. Yeah, that windshield's so huge, and that blade is so gigantic. It never
it's like a katana blade winch. It's like giant sword.
Yeah, it is, and it works reasonably well because I don't know how you arranged that. We were going to drive in the rain and the fog and the mud. But it worked out quite good because we've got tons of really good footage on how that thing works and whatnot. Your guys told me all about the stainless steel, and it's a 30XX whatever.
Yeah, but it's a 300 series custom alloy that we made.
Yeah, but the big thing for me was when I found out, I was pretty sure it'd be austenitic because you can't have rust. But I didn't know that you take the austenite, work harden it, and now it's martensite. And hence the reason I couldn't understand the bullets, because I've shot through, I do some hunting, and I've shot through stainless steel in the past.
Yeah.
But with martensite, there's no chance. I've got a question for you though. What was the biggest hold up? I mean, everybody's been, holding their breath for at least 4 years. So what really was the biggest challenge?
Announced the car in 2019. I think we sort of expected perhaps it would be in production in a couple of years later in 21 or something like that. There was a worldwide pandemic. Then there was a global chip shortage. There were shortages of so many parts. It would be irrelevant for us to bring to market a car for which that we simply do not have parts to make.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good reason.
Yeah.
So I've got
If you didn't think it would be hard enough to build this truck with everything rosy perfect, throw in a global pandemic, why don't you? Throw in a massive chip shortage. Tesla bringing in the Cybertruck to market in 2023, that's nothing short of amazing. No other company could possibly hope to do it.
What's the volume going to be for this thing, say in 12 months? What are you looking at?
We have to be cautious about forward-looking statements as a publicly traded company. And it's also very difficult to forecast the production ramp in the beginning, because the production ramp always is like this very difficult S-curve, which means the production is very slow in the beginning. You're constrained by whatever the least lucky, least competent thing out of 10,000 items is.
Yeah.
Of the vehicles we make, it will be it's still such a small percentage that it will not be material in 2024. It will probably be material in 2025.
My estimates for 2024, bear case, 15,000 units of the Cybertruck. Base case, we get around 45,000 units for the year 2024. Bull case, they eclipse 75,000 units for the calendar year of 2024. Like Elon said, there is no predicting that S-curve, but knowing Tesla's manufacturing prowess, the heartache of ramping up the Model 3, the ease of which Giga Berlin, Giga Texas have ramped up their Model Y production. I mean, no two ramps are the same, but the company is. I'm gonna have faith that Tesla can not only do the impossible, but do it f***ing well.
That vehicle is like 100+ grand. I think that that's the right price for this, but it's not the right price for the kid that wants to take one to college, kind of anxious to find out what it is that can be done for those others that want to get into electrification but can't.
So we obviously are working on a low-cost electric vehicle that will be made in very high volume. We're quite far advanced in that work. I review the production line plans for that every week, and I think the revolution in manufacturing that will be represented by that car will blow people's minds. It is not like any car production line that anyone's ever seen. The thing that's most interesting about this is it's a production system. It's a level of production technology that is far in advance of any automotive plant on Earth. And I should point out that we will be making the first production line will be here in the Gigafactory in Texas, in this facility.
Oh, I thought it was going to be in Mexico or something.
That'll be the second place.
Say that again?
A level of production technology that is far in advance of any automotive plant on Earth.
No, not that part. I mean, I get that. Where is the first line?
I should point out that we will be making the first production line will be here in the Gigafactory in Texas, in this facility.
Oh, I thought it was going to be in Mexico or something.
That'll be the second place.
Texas, our Texas, all hail the mighty state. You know why? The stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas.
So let me ask an adventurous question. Okay, so I made a lot of noise about what I think the future is going to look like. And one of the things that I've said is that probably the biggest car company on the planet will be BYD. And then I'm putting Tesla in on second simply because BYD's got such a head start.
Well, I suppose even Sandy can't get everything right. BYD will be a distant second to Tesla. You just discussed the next generation vehicle. BYD doesn't have that capability. Toyota called the building of the Model Y a work of art. And that's the old iteration of the way they build cars. But I get it, BYD has such a head start, there's no way Tesla could possibly overtake them in total vehicle sales until they do.
But who do you think is going to be the winners and losers in the car industry?
I think it's too early to say for sure, but the future is definitely electric. So
yeah,
companies that are not making a significant investment in electric vehicles are basically consigning themselves to the fate of the horse and buggy market, in the 1920s.
Yeah.
There were companies that would double down on horse carriages. You don't want to be the buggy manufacturer in the age of automobiles.
GM, Ford, are you listening?
For me, there's three giants that I think are going to come down real hard, and one in particular. But I just decided I don't want to go down that path.
So much more that Sandy and Elon discussed. This is just a hypercut. I just wanted to get the nuts and bolts of some of the most crucial Tesla bits of information. If you're looking for the entire video, it will be linked down below. In conclusion, Cybertruck, Cybertruck, Cybertruck. That's all anyone seems to be talking about. But as we know, Tesla is not done. The most exciting product roadmap of any company. And once those next generation vehicles come rolling out of Giga Austin, that's all I got for you today. Be easy.